Welcome back, troops. Let's Tab 59. Thanks for stopping by as always. Hope everybody's well. What's happening today? Well, I'm just getting ready to go off into a tab. Only going to do 4 miles today because I've got a lot to do this afternoon, so I can't be out for too long. But the weather's good, it's nice and mild, no wind. So that's what I'm doing. So what I want to talk about today, I'm going to talk about home defence. I'm not talking about defence of our homes, I'm talking about home defence of the nation, our key infrastructure. Things have been hotting up lately, as you know. We've got the war kicked off in with Russia and Ukraine a couple of years ago. Now it's 2 years, I believe. It's January 2024 at the moment, and then more just after, well, just before Christmas time, we had the Israeli-Palestine situation kick off, and literally last night. UK and US forces have struck Yemen with some airstrikes. So it's kicking off all around the world. It's probably the worst it's been since the Cold War with the threat of conflict. Now, obviously back in the Second World War, the BEF at the beginning there were pushed back from France, back down to Dunkirk, and got rescued on Operation Dynamo. And then the Germans, the Third Reich, were getting ready for Operation Sealine, which was their operation to invade UK mainland. Before they could do that, obviously they had to get air superiority over the RAF, and we all know that didn't happen. The good old Royal Air Force done their bit and defeated the Luftwaffe during the Battle of Britain, and Operation Sealine was scrapped. After that, it was decided that we needed some sort of home defence. And so they raised the LDV, the Local Defence Volunteers, which later became the Home Guard. We've all seen Dad's Army and how much fun that was. But actually, the Home Guard was quite a serious outfit. And although they were never really called upon for a full-blown invasion, they did play their part. And if it had have happened, if the invasion happened, you know, maybe the old Home Guard would have done their bit and at least delayed the invasion force, so the main regular army could have regrouped and formed some sort of defensive line, and maybe even counterattacked and and the Home Guard could have slowed that down. Remember, the Home Guard had local knowledge. You know, they grew up, they lived amongst the area they were operating in, and that's always an advantage for a defensive force if you know the ground you're operating on. Anyway, after D-Day, and we started to push back towards Germany, and obviously the Russians, the Soviets coming the other way, squashing Germany together and defeating them. They disbanded the Home Guard, and that was the end of that until 1982, when it was decided during the Cold War then that we needed some sort of home defence, some sort of Home Guard that would guard key installations, rather than the Home Guard's role of defending against an invasion. The Home Security Force, the Home Service Force, was formed to just guard our key infrastructure. Power stations, docks, railheads, supply depots, airfields, all key installations, bridges, things like that. So if it had kicked off, we could have released the regular forces to go fight out in Europe in World War III, and the Home Service Force then would be back here taking the pressure off, defending these key installations. So not really defending against an invasion by the Soviets, but obviously guarding against special forces that might have been inserted to try and take out some of our infrastructure. And that's what the Home Service Force was all about. They had a massive exercise in the 80s called Brave Defender, where they sort of tested their skills, and it seemed to be quite a useful, successful thing. Home Service Force went on and carried on through the Cold War. Obviously the collapse of the Berlin Wall, 89, and then the Cold War sort of finishing in the early 90s. That was over. Didn't seem to be that threat anymore, and so everything was scaled down, and of course the old Home Service Force got the chop. And since then we've had nothing. Yes, we've got the Territorial Army, or now the Army Reserve, and of course we've got our reservists as well. But we haven't got anything at the moment in this country to defend our infrastructure. Yes, the nuclear power stations, you've got the nuclear police force, if you like, that are armed force guarding those. And I suppose you could argue that we don't need a Home Service Force anymore, because if we're going to get attacked in this country, our infrastructure, it's probably in a war, it's probably going to be missile attacks from Europe or wherever. But sabotage is still a key thing and something that should be considered. And how are we going to defend about, what have we got at the moment to defend against saboteurs like that? I don't think we've got much. And if a big war did kick off and our regular forces and our reserve forces were deployed to that conflict zone, what is left behind in the UK to defend that? I don't think we've got anything. And I think we could be caught with our trousers down. So what I'm saying, guys, is do you think that we need some form of home guard, some form of home service force to be reinstated? The home service force, you could join between the ages of, I think, 18 and 60. That puts me out the frame, I'm over 60, but 18 to 60, you had to have a couple of years military experience so that at least you had an idea of drill and how the armed forces worked and your weapon training, etc. So it was very quickly, they were into, it wasn't long periods of basic training to get a home service force soldier ready to operate. It just bring them up to speed with new weapon systems, etc., and they could go in. So it's something to think about. I just wonder what you guys might think about something like that. Hey, maybe we could start up the 1st Battalion, a Let's Tab 59 Home Service Force. I'm joking. But wonder what you thought about how we could defend this nation from saboteurs or special forces if we were in a big war situation. Hopefully it'll never come to that, but you know, we don't want to get caught with our trousers down. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Keep the subscriptions coming, keep the comments coming. Some great ones coming up from you guys from all over the place. I've had stuff from Australia, New Zealand, the United States. I don't know what you guys do out there for home sort of service defence. I don't know what you've got. But here in the UK at the moment, we got pretty much nothing. Anyway, guys, stay safe until the next time. Let's tap.